Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I'm your host Sree Iyer. This is going to be a monologue because a lot of things are happening in China. Why did Xi Jinping call Putin and then Trump? What's cooking? Well, to understand all this, we have to go back a little bit. Remember, in January, end of January, Xi Jinping had basically ejected Zhang Yuzhia, and that really set the cat among the pigeons because the Central Military Commission now didn't have anybody except for one individual who was also raised to vice chairman status. But there's nobody else in the CMC. So this meant that Xi Jinping was not trusting anyone in this side. On the political side, he had not dropped anybody. So things were really getting ugly. And for dismissing the number two, why is Zhang Yuzhia number two? I'll come to that in just a moment. For dismissing number two and the head of the PLA, more or less, this did not go down well with the PLA. Remember, we talked about yesterday. We talked about it yesterday with General Ravi Shankar, where we talked about Beijing being encircled completely. So today, what has happened was today, or I think yesterday, we are a day behind. Yesterday, what has happened was Xi Jinping convened a National People's Congress. This has 150 delegates, 150. And both the people that Xi Jinping dumped, Zhang Yuzhia and one other individual, they were still there. But the idea was to drop them. Essentially, when you drop a senior figure like Zhang Yuzhia, you're supposed to convene this and get everybody to go along with the order. Well, what happened was he couldn't say that this is the reason for convening the meeting. So instead, what has ended up happening is that he said, we are convening this to get rid of some middle-level people. And the feelers that he put out to all the people to say, okay, now I would like to formalize the expulsion of Zhang Yuzhia, looks like that was received with stony silence. Nobody is willing to go with Xi Jinping on this one. Remember, I did a monologue about the 12 families. They're called the 12 red families, princelings, what have you. These people had, more or less sided with anybody except Xi Jinping. So there is that problem too. So most of the princelings, the people who were with Mao Zedong in the Long March, all of them now, they are billionaires many times over. They seem to be not too keen on Xi Jinping following on for any more time. So this appears to be the indication. So when the NPC, that is the National People Congress, refused to do what Xi Jinping thought they would do, then his position became untenable, according to me. So this took place in the morning. In the afternoon, he called Vladimir Putin, and in the evening, he called Donald Trump, in that order. So this is where things stand, and I think he's trying to tell the two big adversaries / frenemies, you can call them, that he's still in power and so on and so forth. But I guess people are not going to be holding their breath. In the meantime, things are getting critical in Iran. And the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, has said that there is a sense of panic that the ruling elite in Iran is taking out all their money. They are sending it out to places like Dubai and other tax havens. So wait for what happens next. So this is the story as far as CCP is concerned. Even if Xi Jinping stays on, I think it will be a considerably weakened state. What's going to happen in the encirclement? What are they going to agree? That's going to probably define the direction in which CCP is going to go and how it's going to be ruled. This is as far as the CCP is concerned. We have another big breaking news. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has said that he is going to shut down CAIR. So this is something where he has done a procedural move. So let's go to the next slide, please. What he has done is he has filed a lawsuit to prohibit the Council on American-Islamic Relations, CAIR, and its Texas chapters from operating in the state. By the way, viewers, Houston and many cities of Texas, the Muslim community has a very large presence, and this is where they draw their strength from. I've told you about CAIR being caught for some offenses in the past, and they are also banned in a couple of Middle Eastern countries, along with Muslim Brotherhood. So now with this decision by the Texas state to ban them could really crimp their style. As a matter of fact, there was an Indian individual religious freedom, that is USCIRF conference in Washington DC, and this year the Muslim community had a very weak attendance, and so did the Khalistani community. However, the loss of attendance here was made up by a much bigger presence of the Mormon community and the MAGA Christian community, who were making all kinds of assumptions about how India is ill-treating its minorities. So it's just like, okay, today you take the ball and run, we are going to take a backseat. That's okay. These are all lies, and we know who is doing it. Unfortunately for us, some of the most rabid anti-India types are people who happen to be Christians, born in India and then migrated to United States. Many of them are pastors, and it's really shame on them that they would spit on the country that gave them all the sanskar. That's a matter for a different day. Let's get back to this thing. The suit has been filed in Collin County District Court, and it also names the Muslim Brotherhood. So basically, CAIR and Muslim Brotherhood are named in the suit. Paxton is asking the court to declare CAIR and its Texas affiliates as foreign terrorist organizations and to ban them from operating, fundraising, recruiting members, or owning property in Texas. So this is where things get really messy, because many of these people get funny money from various countries, and then they end up buying a lot of property. So if the Texas lawsuit stands, because I know that CAIR has countersued saying that this is illegal and that a state cannot pass such laws. Let's go to the next slide, please. Anyway, I'll come to that in just a moment. Texas Governor Greg Abbott issued a terrorist designation last November, naming CAIR and the Muslim Brotherhood as foreign terrorist organization. So this was something that happened. First step was in November. Now Sam Paxton, the Attorney General of Texas, is suing in a court to try and make this thing permanent, and it's enforcing Abbott's lawful declaration. Remember, viewers, you need to have the immigration judge consent for deporting anyone. As a matter of fact, somebody who is very closely connected with Hamas is being deported from Texas after the immigration judge ruled. That person is, I believe, from Jordan. So things are happening in Texas. So after this proclamation, that is Abbott in November, Cair, Texas sued Abbott and Paxton to block the enforcement. Paxton initially argued that the local Cair chapters were separate legal entities and not included in Abbott's declaration, thus lacking standing to sue. In January, Paxton amended the response, dropping the explicit claim that CAIR chapters were excluded while still seeking dismissal. So there is fine-tuning of the law. Maybe they didn't study how the cases had been decided in the past. Whatever it is, some small tweaking was done. Well, critics argue that this reversal undermines the legal coherence of Paxton's current lawsuit. Be that as it may, it has not yet been argued in a court of law. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Next one, please. So Paxton and Abbott are arguing that the CAIR is a successor or front organization for the Muslim Brotherhood and is engaged in transnational criminal and gang activity under Texas law. Remember, viewers, Texas also passed a law to prohibit foreign countries from buying land. And it's not just Texas. I think Florida and a few other states also have passed these laws. Almost all of them are Republican run. Also, Texas passed a law wherein they said all the government organizations cannot hire H-1Bs. So if those laws can stand, I'm just asking you a poser, if those laws can stand, why not this one? So there's going to be some, both sides have equal power, because Cair and Muslim Brotherhood may say, look, this is a federal subject that you shouldn't be given the power to do this. So it's going to be an interesting case, and it might go all the way up to the Supreme Court of the United States. Well, why is all this happening? Because remember, I told you, I think maybe not in this episode, but in a previous episode, that CAIR were caught with their hand in the cooking jar in the Holy Land Foundation case, where they were found to be funneling money to Hamas. and Cair has been named as an unindicted co-conspirator in that case. So this was an FBI case, if my memory serves me right, and I think FBI did not indict them, did not name CAIR, because I think FBI was also working with CAIR for some time during that period, and I think they put Chuna on FBI's forehead also, and therefore they said, okay, fine, FBI doesn't want to get involved, they don't want their name, they don't want that embarrassment. I'm just connecting the dots here. So they were unindicted, but they were mentioned as being a co-conspirator. So the CIAR is on weak wicket. Also, I think United Arab Emirates and Kingdom of Saudi Arabia have banned both CAIR as well as Muslim Brotherhood. So there is another entity called IAMC, Indian American Muslim Council. This one was there here and there in the USCIRF seminar. I know I'm jumping subjects here, and they were trying to make a little bit of noise, but that was the only presence that people could see of the Muslim organizations. And as always, Hindu organizations were not there. And so the claim that these links with the Holy Land Foundation make CAIR undeniably the American face of the Muslim Brotherhood. So this is something that will be difficult for them to walk away from. There have also been allegations of Me Too cases in the CAIR offices, some offices in Texas. I don't know where those cases stand. So a lot of hanky-panky has been happening in these offices. Next slide, please. And there is a broader political context about this. They have, that is Abbott and Paxton, have repeatedly accused Muslim organizations of trying to enforce Sharia law in some places, especially by creating a new city. I think it's called Echo City or something like that. And they want to do everything there, along the Sharia line. See, they did this thing successfully in United Kingdom, and they are trying to rinse and repeat the same thing in United States, especially in Texas. That's where the numbers are. I would not be surprised if they'll be trying to do this thing. Like, for example, in Malappuram, practically it is like that. And there are also places like Melvisharam in Tamil Nadu where there is a Muslim majority, and very, very bad for the Hindu minorities. And I don't know when that's going to be resolved, wherein if a community is minority in general but majority in a certain area, then the majority community which becomes a minority in those areas should automatically enjoy minority rights. Well, India is a very large-hearted country. Okay, so what's going to happen next is that Texas will probably try to do something about it. They may just go ahead and seal the offices, because the thing was passed in November. Now we are in February, and even before the case has been tried, so they may just do something, and then the other party, that is CAIR, may go and move the court for an injunction, which is the stay order, equivalent of a stay order in the United States. It's called as an injunction, and try to stop Texas from doing anything. So in the meantime, CAIR calls all these things as anti-Muslim conspiracy theories. Oh, AR Rahman ke piche line mein le lo, line lagi hai. Take the next card. Your turn will come sometime in the next 10 years. And Texas is bypassing traditional federal roles in national security and immigration. So what else do they have? This is all they'll keep on saying. But let's play this thing out further. What's going to happen? If Paxton prevails, then CAIR would be effectively banned from Texas. Its assets could be seized, and its non-profit status could be stripped. Now, if one state does this thing successfully, guess what's going to happen? All the other states also will follow through. CAIR sued state officials in federal court, arguing that only the US State Department, same argument, not a state, can designate foreign terrorist organizations. Well, the challenge for CAIR is that the case is pending before US District Judge Alan Albright in Waco, and this is again in Texas. So we don't know how the judge is going to rule. And this sets a precedent where state governments could potentially dismantle any NGO or non-profit whose advocacy contradicts state-defined security interests. By the way, viewers, I don't know if I've told this to you or not. Can you go back to the previous slide, please? So we're talking about U.S. District Judge Alan Albright, right? So what happens in the United States is, I think there are 13 district level jurisdictions also. So you have the state high court, then you have the state Supreme Court, then you have this district courts, District 9 and so on and so forth. And then you go to the next level, which is the Supreme Court of the United States. So at each level, these things can be argued. So this is why I'm saying that the U.S. District Court is in Waco, Texas, is the one who is going to be looking at this. That person is supposed to be a U.S. federal operative, in the sense that the district courts are also basically federal entities. See, they don't want every case to go to the Supreme Court. They want to have an intermediate level of courts. There are like 13 districts, for example. You can go to the map and then you can figure out which state comes under which district. And they want to try and lighten the load on the Supreme Court of United States judges, judiciary. So this is an interesting situation. Now, this judge sitting in the judge is sitting in Texas, and how will he rule on this federal case is something that's an interesting situation. While all this is playing, this is an important case because CAIR remains a highly contested organization. Please take a look at the reference links that we are providing as part of this video. You'll understand what I mean by that. Supporters see the lawsuit as a necessary counter-terrorism measure, and CAIR operates as part of a broader international ideological project, not merely a domestic civil rights advocacy. Because, see, Sam Paxton has some armory for himself. Like, for example, he would say, why is CAIR banned in the Middle East? Why these two countries banned them? Clearly, there were reasons for that. So they can argue why a certain country has banned it and say, so what if we are a state? So this is a little difficult thing for the CAIR to counter, in my opinion. So let's wait and see how this goes. There are also other entities around the CAIR, such as Islamic Games of North America, intending to, try and ride on this. Maybe it's a money laundering operation. I don't know. I haven't seen that thing. I'm not a gamer, online gamer. I'm not a gamer, period. Even the Sony things, I never used to be good at it. Anyway, so we'll wait and see how this plays out, because one state wins, then you will see a domino effect and a lot of other states will do it, and this will effectively cut the Islamic organizations from under their feet. That would be really, really bad, because I think proof is emerging that these people do have money from bad sources. So when was CAIR formed? CAIR was formed in 1994, and it describes itself as the largest Muslim civil rights and advocacy organization. Essentially, what that means is perhaps they do supply legal assistance to anybody, any Muslim who's being tried for whatever reason across the United States. That would be a big problem if they shut them down and also cut off their finances. Where is the biggest beef of the Texas state? They are saying that Cair's founders have ideological or organizational links to the Muslim Brotherhood. We have done this thing many times. Get disinfo something something like that. Sachin can pull it up. You can go back to that. We have put so many times. We have defined how these people all connect back to some really bad organizations. Let me get that thing. Disinfo Lab products, they just have a lot of charts. We have used them extensively. So take a look at that, and you will see how it's been proven beyond a measure of doubt as to what these people have been up to. The foreign terrorist organization designation is being used to ban the organization from purchasing land in Texas and to bar its operations on public school property. See, the other thing that happens, and many parents who send their children to public schools in various states, you need to look out for this: halal food. If halal food is something that the school starts serving, guess what? You're going to have a lot of spit food. Remember that. So Many critics are claiming that allowing such entities to operate unchecked creates vulnerabilities to foreign political and religious influence inside the United States. Yeah, can you please put up that disinfo chart? There you go. So you see here how all these people are connected. You have George Soros sitting there, and there is there are organizations for each cause. For caste, you have the Equality Lab. For religion, you have Hindus for human rights, and the name is Hindu, but it's all been done by these lumpens. Then for Kashmir, they have something. For Khalistan, they have something. But look at the bottom line: Indo-American Muslim Council. And then go down. Let's slide down, please. Yeah, and then there is Cair everywhere. It is under the Kashmir, and it is also here Islamic Societies of North America. And there you go. There is Cair right there. So these things have connects to Islamist organizations like Muslim Brotherhood, and they also connect back to Pak establishment. Did somebody say that Katie Marshall had lunch with Trump? What happened? Well, one would be curious to know what's going to happen, because what happens in Texas first then starts getting reflected in other states also. Are there any more slides? The conclusion is this is the first time a state is trying to apply a federal law onto the organizations that it controls. So this is something that could also be challenged in the court, but I suspect that there is precedent to this, meaning like other people have done this in the past and have successfully defended it. And so it's again a moot point how powerfully they argue the case, what kind of backup do they get, and what kind of laws they quote. If it's settled somewhere else, would they be able to apply that law to America and say, well, in this country, this is how Sree Iyer and Muslim Brotherhood were banned, and therefore we should be applying the same yardstick, because it's like if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, then it must be a duck. So now court will decide whether Texas actions meet constitutional standards or not. That's all we have. I don't know if you have any questions. Yeah, there are a couple of questions. Let's go to the questions, please. Milburn wants to know, President Trump would definitely know what's happening in China with Zhang and Liu disappearing, of course. Trump must also know that top brass and military are not happy with Xi. So wonder what transpired. You know, when Xi Jinping was made the premier, everybody was expecting the other guy, Bo Xilai, to become the premier. And Xi Jinping was like a compromise candidate because the other families, the princelings families, felt that this guy was easy to handle. He can be pushed around. He will listen to us. He will do what we want. And then they gave him the mandate that you need to crack down on corruption, little realizing that he would come after them too. That's the problem now. The princelings don't want him anymore because he's beginning to start cracking down on many of the big princeling empires that are scattered not just in China but also elsewhere. So there are more than one entities who want this guy out. So let's wait and see how this plays out. Next question, please. KVA Power wants to know, so why T is negotiating with high-powered Iran nuke delegation? Excuse me. The main reason for the talking is he's trying to see if there's any way he can wean Iran away from under the shadow of China. And this is the best time to do that because China itself is very unsettled. They've lost Venezuela, 5% of the cheap oil, and then another 20% of the cheap oil is going to go away if Iran stops sending oil to China. And that's something that will happen. If there's going to be any agreement on nuclear, that would also include Iran not selling to China their oil at throwaway prices. So if that happens, then China's cheap access to oil will just go up in smoke. Russian oil may continue for some time, but Russia will see how the wind is blowing and they'll say, okay, well, everybody else is giving you at market price. You can get it from me also at market price. And then watch China squirm. So let's wait and see how this plays out. Very interesting set of things. Gold-clad warrior wants to know, congratulations everyone. India wants U19 World Cup by 100 runs. Very good. I was following it. I did have the good fortune of watching Vaibhav Suryavanshi bat today. I watched him from 70 onwards to 175. What a treat it was. There were at least 3 or 4 more than 20 runs of ball overs. The guy could do nothing wrong today. And on a grand stage like this, on a World Cup final, and he did this. It's just incredible. But England did put up a good fight. They came up to 3-1-0. And at one point, they were 7 down for, I think, 170 or something like that. To come this close to, winning, I mean, it's not close, but still, you get the idea. So it was a good fight. And, well, best of luck, India. I think India has won it 2 times in a row, maybe. I think so. Let's wait and see. That statistics guys will take over and say, this happened, and so on and so forth. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. We'll be back with Sumit Peer in Hindi in about a half an hour. Namaskar.